Hello everybody, welcome to the bad side of the internet. My name is Friday and I am finishing off my Wynonna Earp binge with season 3, episode 9. And, I'm pretty sure in my last video I said, I hope this one isn't stressful. I'm pretty sure that's exactly what I said. And what do I get? What do I get? The epitome of stressful. Yet again, such a big episode. So much stuff happened in this episode. And it's making me all shaky. Okay, we'll start with the lighthearted stuff. Sorry, there's not much that is lighthearted about this friggin' episode. I'm like, okay, yeah, let's start with the lighthearted stuff. Lighthearted stuff. Mercedes is back. Mercedes is back, and I love her. And I'm so glad. Like, we knew she was going to be back because they slipped up in an interview at Comic-Con or something, or EH, can't remember, but someone slipped up and were like, oh yes, my episode with Danny, and Danny was like, shut up, I'm not here yet, they don't know I'm gonna be there, and it's like, yes, so, and they also gave it up because she was in the credits at the start of the episode, so we were like, yes, Danny's back, Danny fucking kind, it's probably gonna be flagged, damn it. The point is, yes, she's back, I'm very happy about it, because I was really upset when they got rid of Wynonna's love interest. It was rude. It was really rude because when we first met her, I was like, yes, Wynonna is alive and sailing away into the sun. It's going to be great. And then she was like, wait, actually, let's completely replace her personality with an evil bitch. I'm like, oh, damn. But they brought her back. So I'm mega excited about that. That's all yay and good. And they heal, like, Waverly healing her at the end of the episode. Like, I knew that was going to happen the minute that she put her hand on her face. I was like, oh yes, the hand that happens to have the ring on it. And like oh yes, and she just like relaxed into it and I was like, oh, I don't ship this, but I think it's very cute. And then I get it, guys, but she's not a lesbian, so can we just not? I'm gonna start a hashtag that's hashtag not a lesbian, because she's not. And I know a lot of people have been writing lots of things, and I only just now understand the context of those things. But lots of people have been like writing things that are like, oh, for anyone out there who's upset, remember, that Waverly wasn't there to correct her, or that, like that's just how Mercedes is, like she'd probably just make an assumption like that. And it's like, yeah, but you know who wrote that character? The writers. You know what the writers did? They went, hey, let's just make this character assume she's a lesbian. People I think people forget how much things get involved in making a TV series. It's not just like, oh yeah, they just write a thing and send it off and blah, and like people have to review it, people have to talk about it, people have to know exactly what's going on all the time. And they do it on purpose to a degree. People had to sign off on that. That wasn't just a throwaway thing. And I get it, so I'm not going to get into it because I'm like the angry bisexual if I get into it. But also, yeah, like I hope that there's going to be something about it in the future. I'm just hoping that eventually that trope will die out. Hoping the trope will just slowly just recede into nothingness and it will go away. But for now, back to the story. Something I definitely learned in this episode was that Wynonna Earp doesn't know how to play video games. What the hell? Like, anyone who plays video games watching that episode, I was just sitting there going, the first thing you do is check the room you're in. She hasn't tried to break any of those windows. Like, I was just getting so frustrated. I'm like, man, if you'd done that 1 billion times, you would be tracking anything. You wouldn't just be like, oh yes, the stairs, I should go up them. And like, I know it's a hallucination and everything, so maybe she wasn't thinking clearly exactly. But I'm sitting there going, okay, go through the boxes. Do you have something explosive or like ammunition or the things that they used to keep in Shorty's basement? It's like, does she have anything there? It just really, really frustrated me that was like if I was in a video game and I kept walking upstairs and instantly getting annihilated by something, I would be like, okay, there's got to be something at the start of the game that I am missing. A big part of it that I'm missing. But then again, when she stayed too long, it started to burn her. So I was like, okay, that's sort of interesting. Maybe that's like, if she'd done that earlier, maybe that's exactly what would have happened. And I know the writing for me on this episode was a little bit, like they didn't really make it very clear how she was getting through certain obstacles, or if it was just a coincidence thing. Because like when the floor starts to burn and she jumps up and she's like, and then she runs up the stairs like, nah, fuck, let's go again. And she runs up and she gets into the homestead. And she does the I'm home. And did the place change just because she was settled in the tree thing, and then they had the whole scene with Bolger? Like, is that why the scenery changed in the hallucination, which doesn't make much sense? Or is it because she did something right? I sort of assumed it was because the conversation before that was her talking about the revenants and how this is what it must feel like to be a revenant, to just continue to come back and keep coming back and keep dying and just get madder and madder and crazier every time, and more frustrated. So I was sort of like, okay, is she figured out something and therefore she's at through the next level? But they didn't make it very clear, so I don't know what's going on there. And then we got Bobo back, which was very interesting. I was so not how I envisioned him coming back, which is like way out of left field. It was really, really good, really surprising. And the fact that she just obviously just kept shooting him, and that's why I was sort of like, yeah, it had me on this sort of like idea of like how revenants must live, like the first few times they come back, they sort of remember who they are, they remember what's going on, they're clear-headed, and like with Bobo, she just forgot like a huge bunch of times that she'd done it because it was just so, I don't know, maybe like so animalistic or so crazy, or just something that she like just started to forget it because it was so much of a part of her and who she is. Or I know, it just seemed like, yeah, and the writing could have put that in a little bit more. I don't know. Sorry, I have to check the time. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. There could have been a bit more put into that, in my opinion. But yeah, I was really glad that Bobo was back. That scene where he dies and she dies at the same time is very, very good scene. Really well shot. Very different from everything they'd done in the rest of the episode or any other episodes. So it was a bit of a change up. And I don't know, there's parts of me that are very like, yay, change up. And there's other parts of me that are like, no, that doesn't match. I don't like it. So it was startling and it was out of place. So it was very focus driven. I got really focused in on it, but also it was just that little bit clashy, that I wasn't feeling, I didn't sink into it the way I usually do with emotional bits that Melanie or Bobo or Doc do. But it's supposed to be hallucination, it's supposed to be this weird dream hallucination world. So I sure didn't really hold that much to much account. But yet again, Wynonna has never played a video game because she figures out that Doc's under the house, and she doesn't like the first few times she goes out to the barn to get a crowbar. She's like, oh shit, I'm dead, or oh, I've killed Bobo and I'm back, and she never checks the house. She never looks for like a big knife, or like, I'm pretty sure they have lamps that she could freaking I would have been jamming it with my fingernails by the 100th time or whatever. She just sort of keeps doing the same thing. And yet again, I was wondering if how much of the hallucination had control of how her thinking was going, was she just doing the steps because that's what she felt like she was meant to do, and all the heirs and the revenants just keep doing the same thing over and over, no one thinks outside of the way things are supposed to go. I wonder if that was a hint, because it's always, whenever there's a hallucination fantasy in any sort of sci-fi thing or fantasy thing, I always sort of go, you're inside their head too, they've got you in this perfect little world or bad world or whatever, but you're in their head too, sort of thing. So you can always see little bits of what they're thinking through that, and I wonder if they're going to play on that at all. But yeah, so that was very interesting. And then of course Bobo woke up, and that whole scene of them trying to find Wynonna, it was very interesting because they're trying to get this ring off. Waverly realizes that she can, the ring wants to kill people, which is not true. It's not evil. It's a good, I bet it's and we found out, Bobo said, that's Julian's ring. And I was like, yes, I was right. One, I was right. And two, it's not, if it's an angel's ring, it's just doing it because they're trying to hurt you. Every time it's been someone trying to hurt them, or them trying to warn them of something, or make them do something, like Peacemaker. Peacemaker will zap Wynonna or whatever and be like, look, pay attention, something bad is going down, So that all that stuff, and then all of a sudden Jeremy's like, let's go out to the, like, I need you in the woods. Seemed like a little bit plot devicey, but whatever. It's fine. I could get over that. And then they're in the woods, and I loved that beaver jam joke, man. That was good. That was beautiful. I was so happy. I was just like, yes, Jeremy making beaver jokes. That's my favorite. All of them should just make, like, dick jokes at each other, and, like, it just, oh, fuck. It's how gays talk. It literally is. It's not even stuffing it around. It's just so realistic that it's not even funny. But yeah, and then, like, I don't know, it was just one of those things of, like, that line really threw me when Jeremy was like, oh, I can feel them. They're over there. And I was like, they've been scared this whole time. He should be able to feel them anyway. You know, like, from the start, he should have been able to be like, they're over here. But I don't know. I think it was just an oddly written line. It sort of seemed really out of place. I really loved Nicole's "It's Purgatory, Jeremy. I have a lot of shit in my backpack," because she prepared and because it's true. If you were a sheriff in Purgatory, you'd just be like, I have everything. You'd just be walking around like the big ass belt. Come on, come at me. Which, you know, you wouldn't want to take Nicole out, but also, I know didn't happen in this episode, but I hope that next season we get some actual Nicole being able to fight people, please, because she's supposed to be the sheriff, and she's supposed to be badass and scary and, like, tough, but she just keeps getting just flung around the room, and Waverly's always like, oh, baby, you okay? Oh, you alright? Everyone's always, oh, no, let's go save Nicole. And I'm like, no, Nicole is a badass character. Can we just, like, I know that they did it with Doc last season. Like, there was this whole thing of Doc's bullets not actually doing anything because he was always fighting demons that only Wynonna could kill, so they gave him a big shooting scene when he rolled over the hood and stuff to save Nedley, and that was an awesome scene. So I hope they do the same thing with Nicole. They're like, there's this thing when Nicole just keeps getting thrown around, so let's just give her, like, an awesome fight scene where she's badass. Anyway, but yes, that's been really, like, really interesting. But yeah, and then we had the heartbreaking ending to it, which I knew was going to happen the minute that he was like, give me the thing. And I was like, yeah, no, she's going to do it, because whenever they have a time clinch, it's like with Nicole and having to, like, get the antidote. I knew that she was going to do it. It's like, you know that she was going to, like, give it up. It was really well acted, though. It was really, really nicely done. The guy who plays Bolshoi, like, apparently he's an old French dude. He's really, really good. He scares me a little bit in that sort of, like, white male potato sort of way. Yeah, just the screaming and the digging of the graves. And Nicole didn't have a grave. I wonder if it's because she has a sky funeral, so she wouldn't have a grave. Like, does subconscious Wynonna think of that? Or is it because she can't die? No, of course not. It's not that anymore. We're not going back to the I can't die stuff, because that has been debunked. But yeah, no, it was a little bit heart-wrenching. But then again, I have a lot of theories on this. Because he kept doing the tower, like, the tower is the gun, and I needed to get into the garden, which I was right. They do need, like, a key. They need something to get in to the garden, and he needs something, like, I wonder why Peacemaker is so special, though. What, like, he's the one who put the curse. I assumed that the gun was just a gun, you know. I assumed the gun was just a gun before he decided to put a curse on the family, and then it became this cool gun that could shoot demons. But if has the gun always been the key to the tower? Or, like, the key to the garden? Or is it just because it's, like, the powerful thing that the enemy has that makes it, like, does he have to go through with, I don't know, with something of his enemies, or something powerful as enemies? Or is it legitimately Peacemaker? Because that would, like, then, like, everything is out of the box then. I'm so confused. But yeah, like, all of the tower is, like, death and vengeance and badness, and the tower is also Peacemaker. And then she gives it to him, and she sort of goes, oh, we've got nothing else. And that's when my brain was sort of like, okay, yeah, the Peacemaker and the Ring are really similar, you know, really, really similar in the way that they interact, and the way that they hurt things, and the way they give people power and certain things like that. So they don't have nothing. They have this ring that only Waverly can use, which I'm so there for some fight scenes with Waverly. That's going to be badass. I hope next episode that's what we get. Just like Waverly's being like, well, actually, fuck it up, you know? But I don't know. I want Bolshar to be wrong. You know, I want either his interpretation of the cards to be incorrect, and for, like, because if he's making the interpretation of, oh yeah, the most powerful thing that Wynonna has is her gun, it's not true. Like, well, Peacemaker's useful, sure, but she also has all her friends and her family and her will and her strength and all that stuff. So I'm hoping he's interpreting it wrong, and therefore it's going to kick his ass later. Or he's interpreting it right, but he's missing the lover's angle, which I'm still holding on to. I'm still holding on to that. I like, especially too with the scene, which is a little bit controversial at the moment. I thought I'd bring this up at the end so that I can ramble a little bit about it. The whole way hot sex noises debacle. So, the way I feel about this is that I want a sex scene. Right. That's just me. That's the sort of person I am. And funnily enough, I'm pretty asexual. So it's not even just like I want to see two girls have sex on screen. You know, it's not that. It's nothing to do with like fetishizing females and lesbian relationships or queer relationships or anything like that. Which I know is probably a big aspect of why the show hasn't done it yet. Is because it's so easy to fetishize that and so easy to make it into a male gaze thing and everything. I do wonder, though, if they're worried about it being male gazy, why they've done things like, yeah, like the cheerleading scene and like, well, what are their makeout scenes and the Mrs. Claus scene? Like, they all can be male gazed. I'm just wondering why they're putting such a line on, yeah, a sex scene is probably going to be too fetishized. Like, it's fair. And I'm not saying, like, I'm not, like, in no way, shape, or form am I jumping up and going, I want it now. There's no way that I could have it any other time. They're going to have a whole nother season, you know. I don't want them to do it too soon. I do want one. But also, there's a huge level of privilege that's coming from people who are jumping up and down and being mad that the queer relationship that they like isn't playing out how they want it to. And calling it queer baiting, which I think, I don't know, I wasn't insulted or anything, but I was annoyed because queer baiting is really important. Like, it's really bad and, like, such a degrading thing to say about a showrunner or about a writer or anything like that. Like, only the worst shows that I know have done, like, queer baiting. And proper queer baiting. So I actually tweeted, if you want to check my Twitter, I tweeted this really, really good video about what is queer baiting and what is not queer baiting. Because queer baiting has intent, and it preys on us as an audience, and it uses us and our views, and it's shit. It's one of the worst things that queer audiences can have to deal with. This is not queer baiting. We have a canon couple who love each other, have a healthy relationship, even if they didn't though, even if they had the shittest relationship ever and they hated each other and it was really toxic, it still wouldn't be queer baiting because they are definitely canonically queer, and that's, if anything, it's bi baiting because she's bi and no one will talk about it. If anything, it's that. So yeah, it's not queer baiting, it's canon, it's definitely part of our media it's good media, it's not even bad, like, there's just the fact that you want a scene that you're not getting it's really rude to just be like, no, I hate, like, people talked about, like, just not watching it anymore just because we're getting a bit teased. It's like, oh no, don't tease the queers. Like, of course, it's a funny show, it's a comedy, you know, like, they're gonna, and anybody who watched that episode and actually thought that was a sex scene, like, what is wrong with you? Anyone who, like I clicked on this and heard and went, yep, this is gonna be a joke, or like, yep, this is gonna be The Ring, or, like, it was just instantly, I don't know if you guys aren't watching any good television that does stuff like that, but I don't even know any, like, even Lost Girl, if they started on a sex scene, like, you could tell it was a sex scene, because, like, the music would be different, the lighting would be different, you would have a zoom of a bed, you wouldn't just have crazy loud sex noises out of nowhere, you know, like, that's not how sex scenes are filmed, and I'm hoping that definitely the first Way Hot sex scene won't be like that either. Imagine how disappointed we would be as a fandom if we were like waiting this long for a Way Hot sex scene, waiting, and that's how we got it. Imagine that. We'd be sitting here going, what the fuck was that? Like, we've been watching for 3 seasons to get a sex scene, and the first sex scene we get is 5 seconds at the start of the episode with them just like humping to that noise, and that's it. I'd be so disappointed. I don't know if it's just because I'm ace or because I care about character arc and plotline, but I want build up. I want it to be done properly, you know? I want it to be done properly. I want it to be done with character and feeling and to a reasoning, which also leads me to my next sort of wish. Like, it's a wish. It's probably not true. I'm probably just building it up in my head. But the way that the writers are writing Way Hot at the moment is very, like, it's like sort of like they've been punctuating the season with like little bits of like, yeah, sex noises and like making fun of their sex and like them talking about wanting to get off and all that stuff. It's been framing them as lovers. It's been framing them as sexual beings and all this stuff. And that it's making me think more about like how, yeah, they're the lovers. And I know it's probably not going to be how the season ends. I wish it would be. It would be a really good twist. But yeah, all that build up through the season of being like, oh yeah, Nicole and Waverly are obviously getting it on in all these different areas and we never see it, would be a really interesting build up to their actual first sex scene. Like if they do like a they have to lock the gate with their love, or like they have to open the gate with their love, or I don't know, something. It would be a really interesting build up to actually having that scene, or not, you know. I think people need to chill out. Like I'm annoyed because I want one and they're teasing us, but that's the whole point, you know. Like, it's still funny, it's not upsetting. Like, I still laughed, I was cackling, being like, yep, they definitely got everybody, like they definitely got us worked up. And that's more the fun of it, I think, is that it works you up, not actually gives you what you want, you know. It keeps it fun, it keeps it light, and it keeps it happy. But yeah, no, I really liked this episode. It was a good episode. And I'm glad Mercedes is back, because I just want Mercedes and Wynonna to hang out. I don't know if I ship Mercedes and Wynonna more than I ship Why Not, but we'll find out. They should have a ship name. I wonder if they have a ship name yet. I'll check Twitter and see if Mercedes and Wynonna have a ship name yet, which they should. Okay, I'm just checking my notes. Is there anything else that I want to talk about? Oh yeah, I was just going to talk about this, how sad it is that Doc was dying underneath the house, and how when his mum had TB, he used to like crawl underneath the floorboards to be closer to her, and now he's like dying under the floor, and how dare the writers do that to my heart. But anyway, that's it, pretty much. I just hate the writers and everything they stand for, and why do they do this to my soul? Alright, well, I have to wait a whole week now until I get more, which is upsetting. Maybe I should just keep binging things. No, I shouldn't, because I'm so glad that I didn't get as spoiled as I did. Like, I usually get way more spoiled because I've been so busy and I've had no internet. Like, I haven't been as spoiled for these ones. But if I continue to not have them, I will get spoiled. So I'll be back next week. Stay cool.